Hi players, bonjour from Geneva, my name is Asaf and welcome to my channel EZBoardGames. Today, 24th of December, is when the channel is celebrating 2 years in the air, which is super exciting for me, and since this is the end of the year, I think this is an amazing opportunity to bring you my top 7 games of all time, of course relevant to 2024. Now, last year I had top 5 board games of all time, and this year I'm adding 2 more to this list because I just played a few more games. And I feel that if I want to be honest with myself, and by that actually being honest with you guys, I want to show you the games that really hit my table the most. Let's start with the first game, and that's actually a lighter game than what I usually play, and it is Pagan Fate of Roanoke. Now, Pagan Fate of Roanoke is a 2-player only game where one player is going to play the hunter and another player is going to play the witch. At the beginning of the game, the witch is going to randomly choose a card, and then all the villagers that we're having in the board, one of them is actually the true identity of the witch. And now it's going to start going back and forth between the hunter and the witch. The witch is going to try and do some things in order to arrive to the last thing that they would like to do, and that is to perform a ritual. In that case, the witch is going to win, and the hunter on the other side is going to try and discover the true identity of the witch by interrogating the different villagers or doing, again, different kind of actions and eliminating the villager that they think that is the witch. I really like this game, first of all, because the setup is truly super easy. The rulebook is amazing. It's an easy game to understand, and it's going to give you a very good experience, again, of 1 versus 1. Many times when I played this game this year, it was actually a few games back to back. So we just finished the game, then immediately started another one, either by changing the sides or just taking another attempt with the same side that we just played. And I truly feel that this game has a lot of replayability, especially because it comes with some expansions. I'm not saying that you need those expansions, but I do say that if you find yourself playing this game, quite a lot of times you would like to change a few things. So the first expansion is actually the biggest one that adds another element to this game. And there are actually 3 more mini expansions that are just adding cards to this game, just so we will have basically more of the same, which is, by the way, just as a side note, this is something that I like seeing a lot in expansions. Sometimes I don't like seeing new mechanisms coming to this game, and that will add another layer of learning the game. I just want more of the same, something that will contribute to the replayability. The next game on my list, and this is where I really starting to be comfortable with this genre of games, that is Clash of Cultures Monumental Edition. Clash of Cultures is a 4X game, a true 4X game, and if you don't know what 4X means, that is a short for Explore, Expand, Exterminate, and Exploit the territory that we're situated in. This is really a good game that I found myself playing time after time. The learning curve here is probably slightly steeper than what we saw in Pagan Fate of Roanoke, and that is totally okay because this game has a lot of depth into it. In this game, basically, we're going to start at the beginning of the game with a certain civilization that has a specific, let's say, advantage over the other civilizations. We will also be able to recruit some leaders with time, and we're going to build our civilization. We're going to have sometimes some events. We're going to fight barbarians, fight each other. And I really like how well balanced this game is. It means that we cannot really rush into building too much on the map, because every time that we're going to build a city, that will add for us the possibility to add another quarter, let's say, another type of building that will be attached to a city. So if I want to have the maximum of like 5 add-ons to that city, that means that I actually need to build 5 cities, and that is really not something that comes lightly. Now, Clash of Cultures is actually going to take us a little bit more time to play. Again, the setup is relatively easy, but I saw different playing times, let's say it like that, from one game to another. I'm guessing that a lot of it depends on the players that are situated around the table. Some of them maybe are going to be a little bit more with analysis paralysis, but in general, I think that when you're pretty much set on the rules, this is a game that is going to take around 1 hour per player. You can play the regular game or a longer game, and in any case, I remember that every time I played this game, I had such a good experience. I just 4X is absolutely my favorite genre of board games, and this one is absolutely amazing. I think that the one thing that is lacking for me in this game is maybe the aspect of exploration that is just like basically flipping a tile and maybe situated in a certain way. But this is not something that is going to be a game changer or something that really affects on what will happen later. You will have something that will affect it, of course, if you're going to attack from mountains, from forest, movement, etc. But again, this is not something that you really feel that impact the board itself. But besides that, truly an amazing game. The next game on my list, and that is actually a game that was new to me in 2024, that is Space Empires 4X. Now, probably I want to say maybe this is the heaviest game that I have on this list today, but let me tell you that it is absolutely worth it. Just thinking about playing this game gives me such a good feeling. And in general, in Space Empires 4X, each player is going to play some sort of a faction that basically is kind of the same. We're not going to have here something that is asymmetrical, of course, unless we're going to add different things to the game itself. But each of us is going to start in a different corner in that specific sector of galaxy. And we're going to try and do the other things that we have in 4X. That means that we're going to start, of course, with exploration. And here, actually, we do have a lot of impact to the exploration, especially when we're leaving our small sector on the map and moving to the deep space sector, where different things that we're going to explore on that part can have a lot of impact on the map itself. Sometimes you're going to send a scout or a different ship to explore a specific area, and then in the next turn you just realizing that you discovered something that made your ship completely disappear, be destroyed, which can be sometimes quite painful. So you do need to pay attention to that. One of the strongest things that we have here is actually the fog of war, and that is something that I didn't really see in any other board game that I played until today. The fog of war element that we have in this game is absolutely incredible. That means that you're going to take your ship and you're going to place it on the board when you're building it. We're going to talk about building things here in just a few more minutes. But when you're placing this token, you're actually going to place how many of those ships on the bottom of it. This is actually just with tokens. And until you're actually engaging in combat or something like that, the enemy will not be able to understand how many of those ships you have over there. And not only that, but what is the actually current technology level that you researched for your ships. So I think that this is really kind of a crazy thing to have in a board game. I truly appreciate it. It does come at a cost, at sometimes being a little bit too fiddly, and it's a little bit of a risk. Also because we have something that will be able to upgrade our technology. And this is where basically is situated the Achilles heel of this game, but also actually its strength. So every time after we're going to perform 3 action turns, let's call it like that, we're going to have some upkeep, we're going to gain our resources, our money, and then we're actually going to secretly advance with our tech tree. So I'm going to have like this piece of paper where I'm going to do some bookkeeping. And it might be a little bit tricky when other players don't see it, because again, it's a hidden information, because I guess this is something that is a bit more inclined to have mistakes over there, and mistakes that you're going to do when upgrading maybe something that you couldn't have upgraded because you don't have enough resources can actually impact the game a lot. So you need to, first of all, really have people that you trust around the table, and also make sure that you're taking your time to do this bookkeeping in a good way. Otherwise the game will be pretty much broken. But again, Space Empires 4X is just truly an amazing game, and I can't wait really to explore the 2 other expansions that it has, but I'm guessing that I'll take it a bit slower this time. The next game that I would like to present to you is Dark Ages. Now, this game has hit my table so many times this year, it was absolutely insane. In general, in Dark Ages, which is basically a solo up to 8 players, and I'm going to talk about it again just in a few more seconds, is some sort of a mixture of dudes on the map, a little bit 4X, even though I try not to say it's a 4X because the exploration here is not the type of exploration. It's not a pure type of exploration because we're just going to flip some tokens. And also it's a mixture of Eurogame because we're going to push our economy and we're going to have a lot of victory points that we're going to take. Also end of the game victory points that we're going to take according to specific parameters. But this game really feels to me like it has it all. So you're going to start with a specific faction that has a leader. So this is not a totally symmetrical game. You're going to have some different things that you'll be able to do, but it's just maybe something that is going to push the start of the game for your specific faction. We're going to upgrade our military technology. We're going to build the big buildings that we have in that period of time all across Europe, either Western Europe or Eastern Europe, and that depends which dark ages you have. Again, just a few more seconds. But I absolutely love this game. I love the tableau building that we have over there. I like the evolution that we have with building more farms, so we'll be able to feed our army. I think that the highlight of this game is actually the action selection with the noble discs that we're going to take, because that sometimes is going to trigger some reactions, and other players are actually going to be able to do something even if it's not their turn, which is something that contributes a lot to the lack of downtime, which is something that is excellent, especially in games like this. And just to make sure that you understand how fast and in a good way it goes, I remember that we did like a 6-player game that lasted something like 4.5 hours. And I think that to a game in such a scale, to have 6-player game at 4.5 hours is really an accomplishment. Now, I'm saying that it depends which type of Dark Ages you have, because there are 2 boxes. Each of them, either the Holy Roman Empire or Heritage of Charlemagne, is a standalone game that will be able to play from a solo mode up to 4 players. But if you do have both of the boxes and you're combining them together, if you're flipping the map, you can actually put it together and have up to an 8-player game, which is absolutely epic. Now, the game does feel really balanced, even though sometimes you can find maybe a faction that is a little bit further away, because there are so many modules that you can integrate into this game. One of them is the long campaign that will just allow you to a little bit teleport your army to different area, but it is super thematic, and I promise you that this game, in my opinion, is absolutely excellent. This is a really all-around game. The solo mode is excellent. It was designed by David Turci, and really a good experience, which I absolutely love, and very excited every time that I'm bringing it to the table. Now we're coming to the top 3 board games in this list, and I would like to start with War of the Ring. And War of the Ring is a game that I discovered this year. So obviously this game is already exists, I want to say, 20 years actually, 2 decades. And I discovered it this year, and from the moment that I understood the rules, and I'm telling you that the rules over here have really a steep learning curve. This is not super easy game to table maybe, because the setup takes quite a lot of time. Understanding the rules is not a simple task, but once everything is clicking together, if I want a definition of the word epic to a board game, I would say that War of the Ring is that game. Because after you finish playing it, you're actually taking a step back from the board, looking at it, and really the story of the Lord of the Rings is just revealed below you, and you can really feel how difficult it was for the Fellowship of the Ring, or if it's Frodo, to take the ring and throw it to Mordor, or how difficult it was for the free people to stop the bad guys, Sauron, Saruman, etc. So this is an absolutely amazing game. Obviously, War of the Ring is a 2-player game. Well, actually, it says that it's up to 4, but I think that I said it in one of my previous videos that War of the Ring is something that probably I will play only at 2 players. I feel that this is the best player count to it. I don't really feel that this game has enough responsibility to actually divide between 2 players that are going to play for the same side, but it absolutely doesn't take anything from this game. Such an excellent game. And right now, Ares Games actually released the 2 Decades edition for War of the Ring. This is quite pricey, obviously. They did it also for the 3 expansions, Lords and Kings of Middle-earth, and also Warriors of Middle-earth, which can come up to quite a high price, I admit. But if you really love this game and you're a hardcore fan, this is something that you might want to consider, because prices on the secondhand market for this deluxe edition was pretty crazy. Such a great game. I absolutely enjoy every time it hits the table. It's exciting at the beginning. When you're playing the Shadow, you feel you just want to swarm the board with your units, and when you're playing the Free People, you're actually just trying to survive a little bit, see where you can defend your citadels the best. And oh man, I just talking about it, I feel like tabling this game. Finishing with that, let's move on to the next one, and that is Company of Heroes, the 2nd edition, which is a game that was also in my last video in the last year for the top 5 board games of all time. And even though the 2nd edition hasn't arrived to backers yet, I think it's supposed to be in the first quarter of 2025. Still, I had the privilege of receiving a review copy from Bad Crow Games and actually table it and play it. Not to talk about the amount of time that I played it on TTS. This game, the 2nd edition actually feels like the 8th edition. So many things were added to this game to make a good, like an already good game, just an excellent one. You want a solo game, you got it. You want a free-for-all, you got it. You want team versus team, you got it. Modular board, multiple maps, miniatures. Oh my God, the table presence. Absolutely amazing. Usually in this game, we're going to play team versus team, but again, you'll be able to choose your own mission. You're going to choose one of the armies that is available to you, and that is, of course, depends on the pledge that you took. In the core game alone, you're going to have the Americans versus the Wehrmacht, but the more additions that you took, you will be able to play with the Soviet and other different factions that you have over there. Simply a streamlined game with resource management, with a tactical war game. Absolutely an eye candy, and absolutely treat for war gamers. I can't wait to have like the all-in that will already arrive, to paint the miniatures and to bring it to the table. This is something that for sure I will continue covering on my channel with different playthroughs, solo mode, etc. Company of Heroes 2nd edition, check it out. Moving on to the number 1 game of all time. And I hope that I'm not going to disappoint you, but it's the same game that I had in the last year, and that is Tricarion. What can I say about this game that I haven't said it before? In general, in Tricarion, you're going to play an illusionist that is going to try and learn new tricks, build it in your workshop, placing those tricks in the theater, performing with your magician, with your illusionist, and receive more fame points. And this is just the base game. You're going to have here hidden action selection, worker placement. What a brilliant design of a game. And I just talked about it a few days ago with someone, but the sheer fact that this game is an all-around game. You want a solo mode, you got it with the Dalgard Academy. That was designed by David Turci, an amazing solo mode, a solo mode that actually makes you feel that you're playing against an actual player, which is something that I appreciate a lot. You want 2-player game, no problem. You're just going to add the duel of the magicians, which is again something that is just contributing to the 2-player experience. And of course, a 3-4-player game. Such a good game. If you feel that the game is maybe a little bit too tight with money and fame points, then you can add the first expansion that is going to add the Academy, which is another place that you'll be able to send your workers, and you have another type of worker that you'll be able to use. So many things, you guys. Really, Tricarion stayed the number 1 game for me of all times just because it hit my table so many times. The table presence of this game is absolutely beautiful. I love this steampunk kind of art that there is over there. I think that this game is extremely deep, has a lot of important decisions that you will need to make, and it requires from you not only to plan ahead but also to adapt and adapt a lot. And just this combination of long-term strategy and also at the same time to adapt to every action the other player is going to take is just mind-blowing. I think that the design of this game is absolutely brilliant. I can't get enough of this game. Is it going to stay the number one game of all time next year? We'll have to see if that will continue hitting my table time after time. But having this game at my top 5, actually at the first place year after year, I think that for me, it says a lot. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. I hope that you had a good time with this video. Feel free to join my Discord. I'm going to add the link down below. If you learned something new or saw something that you like, consider subscribing to the channel. It's absolutely free and it's a huge way to help me out. Happy holidays, take care, and I'll see you next time.